Go on. I have already said, and in saying this, have told the truth. I come from beyond the empty shell of a materialistic gold and silver conception of heaven. Go with me, and in my home you will find man's soul devotion, regardless of material surroundings. I have said, and truly the corridors of the heavens mansion, enriched by precious stones and metals fine, but destitute of my smiles and graces, are deserted. The golden calf is no longer worshipped. Cobwebs cling in festoons, motionless, and the dust of selfish thoughts perverted, dry and black as the soot from Satan's fires settling therein, as the dust of antiquated sarcophagus rest undisturbed. Place on one side the heaven of which gold-bound misers sing, and on the other Etidorpha and the treasures that come with me to man and woman, for without me neither wife, child, nor father could exist, and from any other heaven mankind will turn away. The noblest gift of heaven to humanity is the highest sense of love, and I, Etidorpha, am the soul of love. She ceased speaking, and as I looked at the form beside me, I forgot myself in the rapture of that gaze. Crush the colors of the rainbow into a single hue possessed of the attributes of all the others, and multiply that entity to infinity, and you have less richness that rested in any of the complex colors shown in the trimming of her raiment. Lighten the softness of eiderdown 1,000 times, and yet maintain its senses of substance, and you have not conceived of the softness of the gauze that decked her simple flowing garments. Gather the shadows cast by a troop of radiant angels, then sprinkle the resultant shade with stardust, and color therewith a garment brighter than satin, softer than silk, and more ethereal than light itself, and you have less beauty than repose in the modest dress that enveloped her figure. Abstract the perfume from the sweetest oriental grasses, and combine it with the essential spirit of the wild rose, then add thereto the soul of ambergris and the quintessential extracts of the finest aromatics of the East, and you have not approached the exquisite fragrance that penetrated my very being at her approach. She stood before me, slender, lithe, symmetrical, radiant. Her hair is more beautiful than pen can depict. It was colorless because it cannot be described by colors known to mortals. Her face paled the beauty of all who had preceded her. She could not be a fairy, for no conception of a fairy can approach such loveliness. She was not a spirit, for surely material substance was part of her form. She was not an angel, for no abnormal, irrational wing protruded from her shoulder to blemish her seraphic figure. No, I said musingly, she is a creature of other climes. The scriptures tell of no such being. She is neither human nor angelic, but what? She said. I do not know, I answered. Then I shall tell you, she replied. Yes, I will tell you of myself and of my companions. I will show you our home, carrying you through the shadows of heaven to exhibit that fair land, for heaven without Etidorpha casts a shadow in comparison therewith. See, she said, as with her dainty fingers she removed from her garment a fragment of transparent film that I had not previously observed. See, this is a cobweb that clung to my skirt. On my way to meet you, I passed through the dismal corridors in the materialistic, loveless heaven. She dropped it on the floor, and I stooped to pick it up, but vainly my fingers passed through it, as through a mist. You must be an angel, I stammered. She smiled. Come, she said, do not consume your time with thoughts of materialistic heaven. Come with me to that brighter land beyond, and in those indescribable scenes, we, you and I, will wander together forever. She held out her hand. I hesitantly touched it, and then raised it to my lips. She made no resistance. I dropped upon my knees. Are you to be mine? I cried. Mine forever? Yes, she answered, if you will it, for he who loves will be loved in turn. I will do it, I said. I give myself to you. Be you what you may, be your home where it may. I give up the earth behind me, and the hope of heaven before me. The here and the hereafter I will sacrifice. Let us hasten, I said, but she made no movement. She shook her head. You must yet be tempted as never before, and you must resist the tempter. You cannot pass into the land of Etidorpha until you have suffered as only the damned can suffer, until you have withstood the pangs of thirst, and have experienced heat and cold indescribable. Remember the warnings of your former guide. Mark well the words of Etidorpha. You must not yield. 'Twas to serve you that I came before you now. 'Twas to preserve you from the drunkard's cavern that I have given you this version of the land beyond the end of earth, where, if you will serve yourself, we will meet again." She held aloft 2 tiny cups. I sprung to my feet and grasped one of them, and as I glanced at the throng in front of me, every radiant figure held aloft in the left hand a similar cup. All were gazing in my face. I looked at the transparent cup in my hand. It appeared to be partly filled with a green liquid. I looked at her cup and saw that it contained a similar fluid. Forgetting the warning she had so recently given, I raised the cup to my lips, and just before touching it glanced again at her face. The fair creature stood with bowed head, her face covered with her hand. Her very form and attitude spoke of sorrow and disappointment, and she trembled in distress. She held one hand as though to thrust back a form that seemed about to force itself beyond her figure, for peering exultingly from behind leered the same satanic face that met my gaze on the preceding occasion when in the presence of the troop of demons I had been tempted by the perfect man. Dashing the cup to the floor, I shouted, "No, I will not drink!" Etidorpha dropped upon her knees and clasped her hands. The satanic figure disappeared from sight. Realizing that we had triumphed over the tempter, I also fell upon my knees in thankfulness.